Looking to no-hit Romina, Saint of the Bud? Well, that shouldn't be all that difficult. She's a pretty simple boss fight if you break it down. She'll start the fight with one of two moves. The first being a charged sword attack, which she jumps at you and then swings. And what you're going to want to do is dodge into it, and then do an attack, and then get out. You're going to want to do an attack that allows you the timing to get out before she can hit you with one of her basic melees. You're basically not going to want to even learn her basic melee moveset at all. Just dip out before she gets a chance to do anything, and then make enough distance so that she has to do one of her intro moves again. The other move she can start the fight with is her centipede's head coming at you, both of which you can jump over if you've got the nerve to identify the attack. And I found that if I performed a jump heavy while jumping over the first bit of her attack, I can pretty much just spam the jump button again and successfully dodge the next part of her attack. However, if you dodge it, you have to wait, and I found that the best time to wait for is when her centipede essentially returns to its default state, where it makes an S shape with its body. And then you'll be able to jump again and successfully jump over the attack and land a jump heavy. Now, before I move on to the rest of her moves, one interaction you might find very valuable to you is when Romina is punishing you after you've done your attack and you're going to want to dip out. If she does a charged melee, there's a chance that she continues that combo into a 3-hit combo of 3 charged melees. Now, if you dodge into the second charge and then wait until you hear her charge another one, you can get a charged heavy attack in, because her attack will go over your head. She's not always going to finish that combo with a charged attack, and if she doesn't, then she will hit you if you're standing beneath her. So just make sure to look out for the audio cue of her lighting her lightsaber up, and then you can charge a full heavy and get tons of stagger damage, tons of damage. It's a pretty nice trick to know, but if you just want to avoid it, you can just dodge away like you would normally. Now, after her intro, she does get a handful of new moves she can do to you at range, which are all pretty straightforward. Firstly, there's this large spinning combo, which I believe is the Ashvor on her weapon. It looks pretty intimidating at first, but you'll learn that you can just dodge through it, and if you get behind the attack, then most of it will just go above your head. So just dodge at least once into it if you're comfortable with that, and then you can just sprint into her and close the distance using the camera to guide you towards her, and then you can charge a heavy if you get close enough fast enough. Otherwise, you can just do a jump attack to get close to her. The next is her grab move, which she telegraphs by spinning her staff around and then pointing it at you with the final bit of the attack when she points. This move can be a little difficult to land an attack on because her centipede is going to be moving while you're attacking, so a lot of the time you'll just kind of miss based on your positioning or what have you. Her next attack will start with her sprouting a pair of wings and flying into the air before thrusting her stinger down at you. This move is actually telegraphed pretty well. You just have to look at her stinger itself, and it's essentially like targeting you. Then you know the attack is coming at you. Now, our next move is actually pretty difficult, but you can subvert some of that difficulty by relying on your natural instincts. As soon as her centipede does this animation where it reels to the left, you should immediately begin dodging and spam 3 dodges. Those 3 dodges will get you out of her next 3 attacks if you've done the first one early enough, and that's really the difficulty there. Otherwise, she'll catch you in the midst of her combo in between dodges. But the move is not over yet, and she will actually come at you with another roll catch if you're not prepared for it. And so you want to do one more dodge directly into her centipede. Keep an eye on her centipede's head and time your dodge to that. This will get you below her weapon, and you'll be able to attack her safely while the weapon swings over your head. Her next attack is a pretty straightforward one. It's just a slam with her stinger on the scorpion side. It can be pretty tricky to dodge because it does have lingering damage, and for a while it will fool you into dodging early because there is a delay between her telegraph and when she actually attacks. Next, we have her roll attack, which is similar to the Godskin Nobles. The first difficulty of which is getting past. You'll have to dodge through it at the correct timing, which can be difficult based on her visuals. But then after that, she does 2 moves in quick succession, which can act as a roll catch if you don't manage to get below her weapon or past it. And so I found what was best was to identify when this move was coming, dodge through it, and then sprint away from her before jumping as soon as the centipede's first head attack comes at you. This will put your hitbox above both attacks, but will also move you far enough away so that you probably won't be hit by her weapon either way. Lastly, for phase 1, she has a triple spin move telegraphed by her coiling up into a ball. I found that you would actually avoid the 3rd hit in this move if you dodge twice to the left. However, the timing is very difficult. You essentially want to time your first dodge to very shortly after she begins spinning towards you. Dodge twice to the left, and then you can begin charging a heavy, because the third attack won't hit you regardless at that point. You will likely need a light roll to be able to perform this effectively, but if you're trying to no-hit her, you're probably on light roll anyway, but I figured I might as well mention it. Now phase 2 is going to begin with a really frustrating move, where she spawns this area of effect Scarlet Rot damage around her with literally zero telegraph as far as I'm aware. She's going to do this as soon as she gets to half health, or a bit above half health, so you pretty much just have to hope that you do enough damage to her at that point when you're far away, or when she's in an animation so you can get far away. The best timing for this is if you happen to get a stagger critical that pushes her beyond that threshold, and then you just sprint away. But any other time, you can activate it after you've recovered from an attack, and you won't have the time to dodge away in time or sprint away in time. Luckily, this will only happen once for the most part, so you only really need to keep it in mind at around 50% health. The attack itself will spawn butterflies all around the arena with small points of safety that you'll have to find and stand in before returning to the fight. Phase 2 will introduce 2 new moves, the first being a flying slice attack where she goes in for 3 main portions of the attack before leaving a trail of butterflies that will explode. First hit is pretty standard and you'll be able to read the telegraph pretty effectively. The second comes at you very quick, and the third is a 2-hit combo, the first of which will likely not hit you. And so keep in mind, it starts out with an easy telegraph, then a quick attack, and then a delayed attack. And then you have to sprint away from the butterflies. I find it easiest to read the telegraph when you stare at her sword, which will guide her movements for the most part. But however, keep in mind that last attack is a 2-hit attack. You will have to dodge it accordingly. And lastly, she'll get a modification of her phase 2 intro move, which again spawns a Scarlet Rot ring around her, and then just sends out a single line of butterflies to explode, which pretty underwhelming. You'll be able to read it and dodge it pretty effectively. So long as she doesn't spawn it on you, but I never saw her do that. I feel like that's only an intro to phase 2 problem. So anyway, that's about it. Hopefully this helped you out. I'll leave you with the no-hit. When you put it all together, it'll look something like this.